Hello, welcome to Treat Up series. Today Ellen, our occupational therapist who specialises in feeding, is going to talk about feeding difficulties. She will today talk about the background to feeding difficulties, what causes them and how you can help. Her next session will be looking at self-regulation and the importance of getting your child into a calm state before they actually feed. And the third session she's going to look at oral motor skills. Finally, she will finish on food, play and food exploration. I really do hope that you'll find the information really helpful, and don't forget you can access our fact sheets through our email or website.
Hi, I'm Ellen. I'm one of the occupational therapists here at Treetops, and my speciality is feeding. So today I'm going to talk to you a bit about the background behind feeding. So feeding is one of the most complicated things that we will do in our lifetimes, because it's one of the only activities that a child will do that requires them to use all 8 of their senses interchangeably. So when children have difficulties eating, it's usually caused by something in their body that isn't developed, and their feeding difficulty is usually the tip of the iceberg. So what that means is there are usually a lot of other difficulties going on underneath, or sort of like behind it. And 90 to 97% of feeding difficulties often usually stem from sensory motor cause. It also involves a 32-step process, starting with being able to tolerate it visually, and then it goes up to interacts with and then swallowing with the correct oral motor skills. So it's not just getting the food and putting it in your mouth and eating it. There's a lot more steps behind that. So feeding difficulties can include food selectivity by texture, the type or the specific brand that a child likes, complete food refusal or overstuffing of the mouth. And this may be caused by pain or discomfort. So when eating, whether it's actually the swallowing of the food, the texture that they don't like, so that's developed from the tactile system, or something that to you might taste okay, but actually to your child it might be really hot or really spicy. The next one is immature motor skills, so that might be poor posture, so you might have really slumped posture, bilateral integration, so being able to use 2 hands together and being able to cross your midline for things like using cutlery or actually bringing the food to your mouth, or you fine motor skills, so actually picking up the food. So children with developmental issues often present first with feeding problems, and these children often went on to have significant delays in their motor, their language or their behavioural milestones at around 18 to 30 months of age. Now it takes a typically developing child 2 to 3 years to learn to eat. So if your child has something like developmental coordination disorder, their progress with feeding might be extremely slow, because feeding isn't innate, you have to learn how to eat. The next one we've got is immature motor skills, oral motor skills, which is not having the correct tongue movements to actually manoeuvre the food around your mouth, as well as poor chewing skills, so you might not be able to actually break up that food to be able to swallow it effectively. Then we've got sensory processing difficulties, which can also impact on your feeding. For example, if you've got a tactile sensitivity or a movement over response, so when you're eating you've got to move your head around a lot, and you've also got to take in a lot of tactile information from the food, actually touching it and then actually having it in your mouth. You also might not register when you're hungry, so you might not know when to actually eat the food. So some people believe that children will eat if they're hungry and that they won't starve themselves, but this is actually not true, because you have to actually be able to recognise hunger and actually have the skills to be able to eat the food that you're given. For example, if I was to give you a steak, you would have to be able to have the oral motor skills and the general motor skills to be able to eat that steak and cut it up. Others also believe that eating is instinctive, and that is the body's #1 priority. However, again, it's not true. The body's #1 priority is actually breathing, and the second is postural stability. Eating is also only instinctive for the first 4 to 6 weeks of life, and then your reflexes completely fade and the child has to learn to eat. We've got 2 more. So the next one is learning. So you may have never learnt the skills to eat or have poor self-regulation that impacts on your ability to sit at the table to eat. Now again, some may say that, well, all children are picky. And whilst a lot of our children may be picky eaters over time, a lot of the children that we see here at Treetops are known as problem eaters because they display feeding difficulties throughout a lot of their childhood. Research also tells us that 42% of picky eaters remained picky over quite a long period of time. And also if your child had negative experience with food previously, for example, they might have choked on a piece of chicken, they will therefore tend to stay with the safe foods that they haven't choked on previously. So that can then mean that they only have a set number of foods. And then the last one is nutritional. So they might have a nutritional problem, such as an allergy to dairy. And obviously that can impact on feeding. So therefore it's important to target all the skills that are required for eating, including postural stability, your bilateral integration, your oromotor skills, and your self-regulation. And it's also important to target the core sensory systems of your vestibular, which is your movement sense, your proprioception, which is your muscle memory, and your tactile, which is obviously your touch system, as eating utilises all of these throughout the experience. For example, the proprioceptive system is stimulated when the jaw moves and is pressing while you're chewing, and then the vestibular system is used when your head moves around as you're constantly adjusting your sense of balance. So for this week, what I'd like you to do, your activity, your challenge, is I want you to observe your child when they're sitting at the table and they're eating. So you might see them flexed over the table or really slumped and back. And I also want you to do an exercise. So if you're sat in your chair, I want you to sit up nice and straight. You're then going to lift your feet off the floor. There's my feet off the floor. And then I want you to slump in your chair, around your pelvis and fix your shoulders. And put your head and your neck into your chest. Now this is how a lot of children will eat and sit up when they're doing things. And you can see from a digestive point of view, it isn't great, but then also being able to actually eat your food is extremely hard. So have a go at those this week and let us know how you're getting on in the comments.